What are they predicting for the housing market in 2023? There's been a number of reports that have already come out now that we're already into the new year, but I'm picking a few things that I think you should be paying attention to in case you're on the fence about buying a house this year. You can make the best decision for yourself and your family and see if whether or not this might be the year maybe you finally get off the fence and buy your first home. If you're new to my channel, my name is Seanu Uyehara. I'm a branch manager with Geneva Financial. We've recently moved to a new mortgage company and we're super excited about sharing some of our tools and our programs with you folks. So make sure if you do have questions, you're emailing me at my new email, which is right here. And you can always send me your purchase or refinance scenarios if you ever need a second opinion. My team and I are here to provide that resource for you so you can make the best decision and get your mortgage right. Now, one of the first things we need to address is housing prices and value. Everybody's been talking about this lately and everyone's got an idea of where it's going. In fact, we've already started to see where the trend is going, which values are coming down. Prices are starting to come down. Now, you have two camps that are out there. One camp which says that housing prices will slowly taper off and we won't see a massive crash. Now, you have this other camp that says that they are expecting a massive crash. I am of the belief that things will pull back slightly, which we've already seen, but I don't see how we're going to have a massive pullback. Now, some of you have come out and said that you think that homes are going to come down another 30, 40, 50%. I just don't believe that that's possible simply because we do not have the inventory on the market, or let alone the banks are sitting on that in order for them to release that to the public in order to sell. Now, one of the things you have to think about, which they teach in Economics 101, is supply and demand. If you don't have a large supply, so if you have a limited amount of supply and you have a high amount of demand, prices will go up. And if you have a ton of supply and not a lot of demand, prices will come down. So in 2008, there was a ton of inventory on the marketplace. The banks made the mistake of foreclosing on people and then they evicted them and then sold the house. There was no thought of maintaining properties or keeping them for themselves or the thought of protecting values in the marketplace. Now, I want you to think about what happened during COVID. That was the opportune time for banks to go down that same path again and make the same mistake. However, they did not do that. They offered forbearance programs. They offered loan modifications. So all of those people that could have potentially foreclosed on their homes, they did not. They stayed in their house 3 months, 6 months, a year without even making a mortgage payment. Now, what did that do? All that inventory that should have hit the market stayed back, and then the government injected a ton of money into the economy, dropped interest rates to 2%, and then the housing market went haywire. So now that we think about where the market's headed now, there are some major companies like Facebook that are laying off thousands of employees. There will be more people that will get laid off, unfortunately, and that's one of the downsides to having to try to correct the economy and where we're at with all this inflation that's going on. However, I still don't think the bank will make the same mistake again. If you lost your job, I'm pretty sure if you called the bank, they will work with you on your mortgage. They will figure out something to prevent all this inventory hitting the market again, because all that's going to do is kill prices and kill value like we saw in 2008. But for all of you that love the negative news, you will find every reason not to buy a house, because if the market crashed 50% tomorrow, you still wouldn't buy a house because you think it would go even lower. So you have to have the mindset of abundance and of solutions and how to get your foot in the door. Because right now, even though prices are starting to come down 10%, 15% in some of the markets that we work in, I'm still seeing our clients get amazing deals. I've had clients that have talked the seller down $50,000. I've had even some of our agents negotiate deals on new build homes where they actually got the developer to drop the price $100,000. And if you know anything about real estate, you know that new build communities absolutely hate lowering their prices because all they're doing is devaluing their product, which then also pisses off all the people that have bought homes in the area, knowing that the values are coming down. So that's one thing they absolutely hate doing. So to see the builders be more willing to lower their prices, offer these massive incentives to get people in homes, that's a good thing for you as a buyer. So you have to look at the opportunity that's out there, not looking for the negative press and looking for all the negativity that's going to happen or could potentially happen because that's never going to do you any good. I think what we're also going to see is we're going to see activity pick up. Now, going back to June, July of 2022, interest rates went from 3% to basically 6% overnight. Anybody in the real estate and mortgage industry felt that. We really felt like we got punched in the stomach overnight and we couldn't recover from that. There is a ton of people that did not renew their license, whether you be on the mortgage side or even on the real estate side. So there's a lot of people that are getting out of the business. That is how tough the business got for everybody across the country. Now, there are some people that did extremely well, both realtors and loan officers. So kudos to you guys if you're watching this video. But I think now that we've seen the 6% rate, 7% rate for the last 6-7 months, I think a lot more buyers have gotten accustomed to seeing that interest rate. The initial shock of it last year caught everybody off guard. Now that you've seen 6% for a while, I think a lot of you are starting to get really comfortable with that amount and you're now wanting to buy houses. As we head into tax time and people start getting their tax refunds back, I would only predict that more and more buyers that are on the fence are now going to start to get pre-approved. They're going to start shopping. I can tell you from my team alone, we've had a lot of clients reach out and they want to start their approval process so they can start looking for a home. So I think as we get into the spring season, which typically every single year in the real estate industry, things start to pick up, and that's why they call it the spring buying season. So that's also something too that you need to be aware of if you're on the fence, because again, if everybody is going to do the same thing, it's going to put more pressure on the market. You're going to have more buyers shopping with not as much inventory, which means potential bidding wars. You have to understand that this will happen again. If interest rates continue to go down, more buyers will get off the fence and there's going to be more competition. And I've been saying this on my channel for the last year. If you've been waiting, I really hope that you've been saving money and putting things away. Because if you don't have an extra 10, 20, 30 grand laying around, it's going to be really hard for you to get into the game, or you're going to have to be ready to pay for all of your closing costs. So I hope you've been doing your homework, or else you might waste another year of trying to plan to get into your house. And if you don't know where to start, make sure to send me an email because my team and I can give you a custom game plan to help you get into a house. Whether you're 3 months, 6 months, or even a year out, we will customize that for you so you can be successful. Another big prediction that everyone's been making is that interest rates will start to trend downward. We've seen some great moments where rates even got back down into the 5s again, but a week or two later, they're right back up into the mid 6s. So trying to time the market to get the lowest rate possible, to me, it's like catching a falling knife. It's really hard to do and really dangerous. I think more importantly, you have to look at what's right for you whenever that time is. If the time's today, then go ahead and take advantage of that to try to get into a house. But if you're not ready, that's okay. Take the necessary steps so that way you can be ready to be able to purchase. Now, again, if interest rates continue to go down, which all of us in the mortgage industry is following the CPI numbers, as inflation starts to recede and the numbers improve, interest rates should follow and should also get a little better. But remember, this is also a double-edged sword. Interest rates coming down is only going to increase buyer activity. We've already seen that just this year alone. And I think you can already imagine if rates go from 7% to 5%, let alone 6 to 5. I think the minute that we see anything for an extended period of time at 5%, there's going to be a ton of buyers and the floodgates will open and things are going to pick up tremendously. All of us in the industry cannot wait for that day because we all know business is going to pick up. But here's the thing, just like I mentioned, if that happens, and if you haven't saved money and you're on the borderline of qualifying, it's going to make your life really difficult. So you have to start doing your work now because we all know it's coming. We just don't know when. There's been some predictions that they say around the May, June timeframe, interest rates are going to come down. I don't know if that's true or not, but you have to prepare yourself so that way you can take advantage of the opportunity. Don't forget that if you're so caught up on interest rates, you can always either buy your interest rate down permanently, or you can do a 2-1 buy down, which can get you a 2% lower interest rate today to help you get into your house. For example, let's say the market rate today is 6.5%. If you did a 2-1 buy down, Your first year in your mortgage, your interest rate would be 4.5% or 2% less, whatever the market rate is today. Year 2 in your mortgage, your interest rate would then be 5.5%. And year 3, you'd be at 6.5% for the remainder of your loan. But the advantage to using this program is that we all know interest rates are coming down. So the minute interest rates come down, assuming that you can qualify for your refi, because don't forget, you still have to qualify for a refinance, and you have the proper loan to value or LTV, you can take advantage of a refinance. And any of that money that was used to temporarily buy the interest rate down goes towards a principal pay down. So this is a really creative way to help you get into a house today with a much lower payment without having to be so worried about a loan adjustment, like so many people were afraid of adjustable rate mortgages because they were used improperly back in the day during the crash. Another prediction that we can talk about is that lending standards are slowly tightening. We've had Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac make some adjustments as far as their loan level price adjustments are concerned. So in the industry, we call this LLPAs. This is super technical, and this might not even make any sense to you at all, but I want you to be aware of this. In layman's terms, mortgages are getting more expensive. Credit reporting companies are charging nearly double the price what they were charging a year before, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac made some adjustments to make certain loans more expensive. So you have to take that into account when trying to qualify for your mortgage. Now, this isn't going to stop anyone from buying a house. Things get a little more expensive. However, with a good loan officer, they will find ways and give you guidance and strategies to be successful when you buy your house. This is why working with a professional is going to be of the utmost importance in 2023. You can shop around for the lowest rate, but I would challenge you that that person doesn't necessarily have the same experience that a loan officer like myself would be able to give you that type of advice and options that other person is not showing you. And the big I word that just seems to never leave the news or social media, inflation. I can't remember the last time I heard someone talk about inflation as much as we're hearing these days. This is something that the government is trying to fix. Who knows if they know what they're doing, but we are all at the mercy of spending more money and dealing with the choices and decisions that they've made, which has made things way more costly for all of us. So we need to get this under wraps, because as inflation gets better, the housing industry will do the same. Now, this is the unfortunate part. Trying to get inflation under wraps means people will probably lose their jobs. And this is why I've said this in my videos. You have to be careful what you wish for. So many of us are hoping for a market crash or a market correction, but that will come at the demise of other people losing their jobs and other people being put in unfortunate situations. So that kind of sucks when you think about that in the grand scheme of things. And this is why I never wish for a market correction or anything, because when I got in the business in 2007, I vividly remember a number of clients that were getting foreclosed on, people that were losing their jobs, people that were going through bankruptcies and divorce because money became such a problem back then. And I hate to see anyone go through this, because I do know the stress that it puts them under, because I can remember these clients sitting in my office and I could just feel the tension in there, and there was nothing that I could do to help them because they were in over their heads. And the thing about it this time around, I really don't think a lot of people got in over their heads. I think there's a lot of good people out there that have made really good decisions with buying homes, but now they're facing the potential loss of a job simply because we have to get inflation back in order because the government loves to spend money. That's a topic for another discussion, but we have to get this under wraps. And I really hope that it doesn't come at the expense of a ton of people out there losing their jobs and losing their houses, because I would hate to see that happening. Now, remember this, when you hear these predictions that experts are making, or you see people on YouTube or on social media making these claims, a lot of times they're talking about real estate as a country. But what you have to remember is that real estate is very local. So depending on where you live, your market could go up while the rest of the country could be going down. There have been predictions that cities in the Northeast and even in the Southeast should fare very well. But you have some other places like here in Las Vegas, we are seeing prices come down. So it just depends on where you're living or where you're even planning to relocate to. Make sure that you get the most latest up-to-date information from a local expert or if you're doing any online type of research, make sure that you're doing it for the city that you're looking to buy in, because you don't want to make an assumption thinking that the market's going to go down and you have all this time in the world to go buy a house, when in actuality, things are picking up and there's less inventory on the market. And maybe you're heading into a bidding war. So you want to be aware of these things so that way you don't shoot yourself in the foot and you make a mistake not knowing the information that you should have known. The bottom line, in 2023, I believe there will be opportunity out there. If you want to think that the market's going to crash, that's totally fine. You can do a simple Google search and you can find hundreds of articles that will support your decision. Or you can be of the growth mindset and solution mindset, looking for opportunities that are out there. And I can tell you, as an investor myself, I get emails nearly every single day from wholesalers and other investment groups that are looking at deals that will actually pan out today. So you have to get yourself around the right people. Just like they say, your income is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're hanging out with people that are scared of the market and they never want to get ahead, that's exactly where you're going to be a year from now. If you're hanging around real estate professionals, investors, people that are doing deals today, you will find opportunity in that. And I'm not saying that because I'm in the industry. I'm saying that because I see people that are buying houses, flipping houses, and making money. And I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars every single day in this industry. So it's not hard to do. You just got to surround yourself with the right people. I think there's opportunity in the market. And if you want to be a part of that, that's where we can help you. Make sure to reach out, send me an email. My team and I would be happy to chat with you and help you be successful in the real estate game.